afternoon, my dear students. Welcome all to ICD's live program on newspaper analysis. Happy Diwali to all of you. Another happy news I have to tell you, that the State Bank of India has announced 2000 probation officers vacancies. The examination, the prelims are going to be held from December 31. The mains are going to be on January 29. So in one shot you have got too many exams at the moment. You have got the clerical examination coming on February 28, IBPS probation officer examination is on February 4th or so, and the previous week you have got now the State Bank of India's probation officer examination. It is a whole lot of opportunities to all of you, so grab the opportunities with a full mind. With one preparation you have got too many examinations. 2021 can be made yours. Ensure that you work with a kind of a passion. General awareness for all these months will become very crucial. Thanks to these exams are conducted on online platforms, even news items of very closer dates are asked these days. So 6 months of general awareness news will make your place very safe, but most of the questions will be from months that are closer to the examination. So plenty of questions will come from these days. Read the newspapers very well, write down your diary of events and revise them frequently. So we shall start with November 13, the Hindu. This is the major headline. Government rolls out 1.19 lakh crore stimulus package. So first of all, I shall tell you what is economic stimulus is. Listen, we know that economy is in doldrums now. We are going through a recessionary phase which was accepted by the Reserve Bank of India. What is meant by recession? Recession is perpetuated by lower demand for goods and services. There is low demand for goods and services now thanks to economic lockdown and people having no money in their hands. So there is recession. So when demand comes down, immediately the manufacturers will reciprocate to lower production. So it is going to make the problems more cumulative. So now the economy has to come out of this recessionary trend. Economy has to be saved from plunging into the fourth, the more disaster level of depression. So how to roll back the economy, bring back the economy on track, for which now look, the private sector does not have any confidence. Private sector does not have the confidence to borrow money from bank. Private sector does not have the confidence to invest in businesses. So it is a time for the government to spend money. That is what is called stimulus package. Demand has to come either from the private sector or from the government sector. So the government has to forcefully come out and say that, Mr. Private Sector, if you do not have the confidence we have, we will spend more money and we will create the demand artificially. So such proposals are called stimulus. Government is stimulating the economy. So let us see what has got the finance minister has to say on the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan 3.0 scheme and the new stimulus package. We shall take one by one. Listen, Atmanirbhar package, Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana mooted to spurt job creation. Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India or self-sufficient India. Government wants to make sure that maximum production or demand must be met from production within the country. Government has many times said that it does not mean we are going to a kind of a protectionist environment, but we have to make sure that maximum goods that are produced in India are bought. For the defense, now many defense production units are given permission to operate. So the defense procurement mostly will be from domestic companies. so that local production can be enhanced. So, one scheme, Atmanirbhar Bharat Rozgar Yojana mooted to spur job creation, very important. The government to for 2 years EPF dues 24% of wages of new employees hired between October 1, 2020 and June 30, 2021. Listen, Employees Provident Fund Scheme, it is a social security scheme offered by the Employees Provident Fund Organization, EPFO. Suppose my salary is 10,000 rupees. If your salary is below 15,000, you are eligible for Employees Provident Fund. Of course, it is not just the only criterion. There are other criteria too. The number of employees in the organization must be more than 20. So, if your salary is 10,000, then 12% of it, meaning 1,200 rupees, must be contributed by the employee. From 10,000, 1,200 must be cut, only the balance should be given, and an equal 12%, meaning 1,200 rupees, must be given by the employer. So, total 24% will be credited to that particular employee's provident fund account. It is a kind of a deferred payment. You cannot withdraw money from that. Of course, only under certain conditions that you can withdraw money from that, only on certain specific conditions that you can borrow money from EPFO. So, for this amount, EPFO will give interest which is almost equivalent to 8.5% now. So, this is a social security scheme. If the entire 10,000 salary is given to the employee, he will use it completely. So, the government does not want people to use the entire salary, rather some portion of it must be kept as security for the future. So, it is a compulsory saving. Savings with EPFO is a compulsory saving. How does it work? 12% from the employee salary and 12% equal contribution by the employer. So, total 24% is cut. Of course, 1% additional administrative is also there, administrative cost is also there. So, what the government says is that the entire 24% of the wages, the entire 24% of the wages that will be credited to the account of the employee will be borne by the government. But there are certain conditions. People earning less than 15,000 per month who lost jobs between March 1 and September 30 to be covered if re-employed. Suppose due to closure down of different organizations thanks to lockdown, if somebody lost their jobs and if those people are re-employed, the burden of EPFO contribution, Employees Provident Fund contribution, will be borne by the government. That is one of the provisions of the package, new package, stimulus package. Firms more than 50 employees must hire at least 5 more to be covered. Another condition, firms with more than 50 employees must hire at least 5 more to be covered. So, 5 more people are to be covered if re-employment is done by an organization. So, government contribution to EPFO will be 24%. Employee need not pay, employer need not pay, will be fully covered by the government. Government provides 65,000 crore for fertilizer subsidy to ensure adequate availability in view of expected rise in sown area. So, 65,000 government is going to provide as fertilizer subsidy, very important, 65,000 rupees additional, 1,000 crore rupees additional as fertilizer subsidy, considering the hike in expected rise in sown area. So, government expects that more area will be covered this time. So, 65,000 crore will be spent on fertilizer subsidy. So, fertilizers are going to cost less for farmers, considering the fact that they have sown in bigger areas. So, the total cost of the and listen, additional 10,000 crore for Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana which would be used for MGNREGS and Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana. Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana is a scheme to create roads in villages, Grameen Roads. So, Grameen Roads, we know that you might have seen that in your village roads there would be a hoarding Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. So, village roads are constructed with the aid of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme MGNREGS is the biggest demand driven employment generation program in the world, the biggest demand driven employment generation program. If you want a job, you can register your name with the local panchayat, and it is a duty of the local panchayat to provide you job 100 days of wage employment. It's your right. So, you should get and you must get, you must be given 100 days employment. That is what is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. For these two schemes, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, 10,000 crore is additionally announced. All these questions, all these information will be there for your examination, very important news items. Now, some income tax relief for purchase of residential units for value up to 2 crore. We know that there is a reduction in income tax given for purchase of housing houses, when you take housing loans and all. So, to spurt the real estate business, which is already in doldrums thanks to COVID, a new income tax concession is given, some income tax relief for purchase of residential units of value up to 2 crore, but it should be the first to purchase anyway. Now, permissible and differential under Income Tax Act between circle rate and agreement value to be raised from 10% to 20%. Of course, this is connected with the income tax calculation. Infrastructure, 18,000 crore associated to Prime Minister Awas Yojana to build urban housing over rupees 8,000 crore allotted in the budget. From what was allotted in the original budget, which was announced on February 1, another 8,000 crore is announced for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana to build urban housing. So, listen, it is a Government of India scheme, urban housing scheme. What is its name? Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So, the government expects this would create 85 lakh new jobs and demand for 25 lakh metric tons of steel and 131 lakh metric tons of cement. So, through this particular project, what government keeps in mind is that 78 lakh new jobs will be created. Demand for both steel and cement, both are core sectors, both cement and steel belong to the core sectors of the Indian economy. So, core sectors have been doing very badly thanks to COVID. So, this particular scheme is going to create some kind of a spurt in the steel sector as well as cement sector. That is what the government keeps in mind. Free up infrastructure contractors capital by reducing performance security charges and scrapping earnest money deposits for bidding for government projects. So, earnest money has to be kept if you go for a government project. You have to pay money to the government. It is called earnest money. If you want to win a contract from the government, you have to keep earnest money. That is reduced. These are all done to help contractors. Okay. 6,000 crore equity infusion in debt platform of National Infrastructure Investment Fund, which will be used to raise 1.1 lakh crore for infrastructure projects by 2025. Very important. 6,000 crore capital infusion, equity infusion. Equity means when you buy the equity, when you invest in equities, you become the owner. So, government is going to invest 6,000 crore as equity in National Infrastructure Investment Fund, which will be used to raise 1.1 lakh crore for infrastructure projects by 2025. 10,200 crore additional funding for capital and industrial expenditure. For capital and industrial expenditure, additional 10,200 crore is provided. Emergency credit line guarantee scheme extended till March 31, 2021. Of course, during the first package, government has given emergency capital fund, credit line guarantee fund scheme, but that its date is extended up to March 31. It was to end by December, which was extended. So, new scheme to provide credit to firms in healthcare sector and 26 other sectors identifies as stressed. Many sectors have gone stressed thanks to COVID and the subsequent lockdown. So, for such stressed sectors, credit is to be provided, especially to healthcare sectors. So, let us see what is happening. Listen, the government has said that a total of 29,87,641 crore has been given as stimulus so far. Presently, it is 1.19 lakh crore. So, with this 1.19 lakh crore, what government has promised so far would cumulatively have an effect of 29,87,641 crore. So, again I shall tell you what it is all about. Economy has been doing very badly, it has been contracting, there has not been any growth. So, economy has been almost shut down for many a month. So, to stimulate the economy, government has come out with a lot of packages, and the total package cost is 29,87,641 crore so far, which will be 15% of GDP, of GDP. And the government again claims that out of that, amount equivalent to 9% of GDP is contributed by the central government itself. Banks were asked to give loans, there were concessions from Reserve Bank of India, then what exactly the government gave. So, that will be, that in itself will be 9% of GDP. The total from the government as well as other agencies will be 15% of GDP, that is equivalent to 29 lakh 87,641 crore. Very, very, very important information. But there is a criticism, there is a real criticism that though the government claims that nearly 30 lakh crore has been given to stimulate the economy, these were not showing results. What the economists or people who matter say is that government has not done anything so far to make sure that people at the bottom of the pyramid have enough cash with them. Anyway, this is a major criticism which the government has to answer, but we have the option to tell you what exactly the government has claimed. So, we have to know the official version of the government, which are very, very important for the upcoming examination. I hope you have an idea about what stimulus package is. Let me see whether my friends know now. It is clear to you, whether it is clear to you. So, please tell me yes, those who have understood, please tell me yes. Hello, all of you. Yes, I am waiting for your response. Have you understood what I have been speaking about? About Atmanirbhar Bharat I said, about stimulus package I said, what exactly the government packages are, those things are what I have said. So, I would like to have some clarification from me whether you have understood it or not. Okay, a few people have said yes, good to know that. So, let me proceed. For one and all, listen, we know that Arnab Goswami was given bail by the Supreme Court of India, which was very rightly also. Arnab Goswami was arrested by the Bombay police for a case that happened in 2018, in which he and two others were charged with abetting a person committing suicide, who was to be given some contract money which these people did not give, and he wrote a suicide note and committed suicide, and for abetting this suicide, then these people were booked, and this particular case was settled by a competent court in 2019, and now all of a sudden Arnab Goswami and 2 others were arrested by the Bombay police, which was severely criticized by the Hindu itself. Arnab Goswami moved the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court recently gave, day before yesterday, gave him bail, and Supreme Court said that bail is a right and its denial must be done at the as a last resort. So, if anybody asks for a bail, it must be granted. To deny a bail, you got to show a reason. This is what Supreme Court has said, and that has been the position of various courts in India. But the Hindu, when you further read down, the Hindu criticizes why Arnab Goswami is so special. This must be the privilege given to all the people, and Hindu was citing a few instances where others were denied bail by the same Supreme Court, and that is what is being criticized. So, please read. I hope you have got an idea about Arnab Goswami issue. Okay, so I am moving on. Media regulation, that is quite over the top. Listen, I told you about this particular news. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry has been authorized to monitor and regulate the over the top the digital channels. We know about Amazon Prime, we know about Hotstar. So, companies that deal with digital content has not been regulated so far. Now, the government has decided to regulate, and Information and Broadcasting Ministry has been entrusted with the job to regulate the digital content in the country. Mr. Shashi Kumar, we all know that he was the initial chairman of the ASIANet. He strongly criticizes through this article the governmental decision. What he says is that it is against the spirit of freedom of press that regulation is taking place. So, regulation is a bad word for the fourth estate. That is what Mr. Shashi Kumar says. He is a very well known media person. So, we have to read what exactly he has said. Please read a very good piece of article. You know that about for State Bank of India, there will be a group discussion, and for group discussions you got to have real content in your mind. So, this is how you build content. So, read. India makes progress in vaccination coverage. We know that India is a massive nation. We had traditionally a lot of diseases which could have been prevented, and we have done remarkably well in preventing many diseases through proper schemes of vaccination. So, this is an accolade for India's performance in vaccination. The government of India, India has achieved 90%, the global target of 90% coverage for 3 of the 5 vaccines whose coverage is monitored in the report. Listen, it is a great achievement for India. India has achieved global target of 90% coverage for 3 of the 5 vaccines, and which are those 5 vaccines? They are DPT vaccine, diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus DPT vaccine, and measles containing vaccine, and influenza vaccine. These are the 5 vaccines. In these 5 vaccines, India has achieved almost 90% of its target, which is a remarkable success story for a country of India's scale. Very important. Read again. It is going to be very, very important. India's under 5 diarrhea and pneumonia deaths in 2017 is 2,33,240. Rotavirus vaccine increased from 35% to 53%. In 1 year, we made a jump of 18% in vaccination. These are all remarkable stories for a country of India's scale. Very important. Whenever India makes a remarkable success and it becomes the cynosure of ice, and it becomes important even from the point of view of examination. Okay, I am proceeding. So, this particular news item has to be read many a time and jot down wherever you need to. Stamp duty cut on land for industries. This is done in Karnataka. Again, it is to provide relief to industry that governments are doing. If you are registering a piece of land for industrial purpose, the stamp duty is reduced to only 2%. It was earlier 5%. Very important. Which state has done it? Karnataka. The state of Karnataka has reduced the stamp duty for land acquired for setting up industries from 5% to 2%. These are all the generosities of the government, and we must accept, especially when industry is going through a very lean or bad patch. India ASEAN to expand trade despite RCEP walkout. India walked out of a comprehensive economic partnership RCEP agreement last year. Regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement. This was to create a free trade bloc with ASEAN nations. I am sorry, China, Australia, South Korea, Japan, India, and 10 ASEAN countries. These were the members of RCEP. Which are the countries? Australia, South Korea, Japan, China, India, plus 10 ASEAN nations. So, there are 15 countries which were originally members of ASEAN nations, but India backed out of ASEAN, arguing for the farmers' plight. Farmers' unions were protesting heavily against India's decision originally to join RCEP. You know what could be the implication? I shall tell you. India is a country that makes a lot of pepper. India is a country that makes a lot of rubber. So, if we had signed to RCEP, then we could not be able to say no to other countries when if they try to import or to export rubber and pepper to India. So, when huge quantity of rubber and pepper come to India, immediately Indian farmers who produce rubber and pepper will be remunerated less. This was the anxiety of the farmers, and they protested heavily, and thankfully the government of India in the last moment walked out of RCEP. We did not sign. Now, why is in the news? On November 15, all countries except India signed RCEP agreement, giving a chance for India to join on a later stage. So, they have left a clause allowing India to rejoin at a later date. So, this is about briefly about RCEP. So, I have told you about RCEP, I have told you about the context of RCEP and why India did not sign RCEP and what exactly happened on November 15, going to happen on November 15. On November 15, all the countries except India, 14 countries are going to sign RCEP, and they are going to leave a chance for India to join on a future date. But anyway, it is hopefully India will not join RCEP, because if that were the case, government has to face the wrath of farmers again. North Korea hits out at UN nuclear body. North Korea accused the UN agency responsible for regulating atomic energy of being a puppet of hostile countries. Listen, I shall brief you about the position of nuclear weaponries. There are 5 accepted nuclear powers in the world. Which are they? They are the United States of America, Russia, England, France and China. These are the 5 accepted nuclear powers. They are the 5 permanent members, P5 members of the United Nations organization. So, these people can keep both nuclear weapons. The world nuclear, the nuclear assets are of 2 types. One, nuclear military assets to nuclear assets for civilian purposes. The nuclear power is used for destruction by using military weapons, and nuclear power is used for societal purposes for making energy. Only 5 countries are authorized to make nuclear weaponries in the world. That is a common understanding. And there are 3 threshold nations, 3 countries that are called threshold nations. They are India, Pakistan and Israel. These are the nuclear threshold countries, meaning everybody knows that they have got nuclear ambitions, and everybody knows that they have got nuclear weapons. The international community has not accepted either India, Pakistan or Israel as nuclear powers. They are called nuclear threshold countries. But of late, and listen, most of the countries do not have much of a difference of opinion of India having nuclear weapons. Why? Because India is a responsible democracy, and we have got a clear cut hierarchy, and our military has been a very highly disciplined military which has never overstepped its political authority. But take the case of Pakistan. In Pakistan, nobody knows where the real power center is, whether it is the democratically elected government or the military or the religious sect. That is why a nuclear Pakistan is always a danger to the world. But as regards India, we know in the last 75 years India has been a very responsible nation. India has never tried to grab land of any other country. So there has not been too many complaints with regard to India's threshold countries are India, Pakistan and Israel. Somebody has been asking Vishnu, it is India, Pakistan and Israel. These are the 3 threshold, nuclear threshold countries. But listen, now of late both North Korea and Iran have been trying to make nuclear weapons. North Korea is an arrogant nation, an isolated nation. Nobody knows about what is happening in North Korea. North Korea has been a dictatorship. It is a communist dictator country, and it is a kind of an iron curtain nation now. Nobody knows exactly what is happening inside. So these 2 countries are real threats to the world. So now North Korea says that and America has been trying to have peace with North and South Korea. The North and South Korea went into war many years back in the 1950s. The war has still not been ended, officially not ended. So North Korea has got nuclear ambition, which is looked at with suspicion by South Korea and the Western powers. So now North Korea says that the United Nations nuclear watchdog organization has been highly biased, and they are the puppet at the hands of hostile nations. Which are the hostile nations in the eyes of North Korea? Naturally it is United States of America and its allied powers. Okay, I am moving on. I hope you have a good idea about the nuclear situation in the world. I shall take one day I shall take a class on India's agreement with the United States of America. Let the context to come, the nuclear agreement between India and America, and what was the stand that was taken by India many years back, and how it helped India in improving energy situation in the country. That I shall speak later. Hong Kong's pro-democracy lawmakers resign en masse. Listen, yesterday I told you briefly about the history of Hong Kong. Hong Kong was a former British colony which was handed over to China in 1997, and at that time there was an agreement that they would prevail a two systems, one country, two system, meaning Hong Kong will be under the control of one country, China, but 2 systems will prevail. In China we know that it is an authoritarian communist regime, while in Hong Kong democracy will prevail. But ever since then China has been showing all it could, its intolerance, and in Hong Kong they have been trying to grab the authority of the people's freedom forcefully. So what is going to happen is what everybody is looking at very seriously. There have been pro democracy movement and protest in Hong Kong. A few days back, Chinese Central CPC, Communist Party of China, Central Committee of China, removed 5 lawmakers, pro democracy lawmakers in Hong Kong. So as a protest, many Hong Kong pro democracy lawmakers have decided to resign en masse. So the world is again looking at Hong Kong, what is going to happen and how China is going to behave in Hong Kong. Yes, retail inflation accelerated to 7.61% in a few days ago. I told you that the inflation tolerance level of Reserve Bank of India is pegged between 2 to 6%, meaning the annual target given to Reserve Bank of India to control inflation is pegged between 2 and 6%. The 2 is the minimum, 6 is the maximum, but now things are going out of control. It has reached already 7.61%. But listen, we are going through a very difficult situation, and we cannot stick to many of the targets that we would fix, because it was an unexceptional, it is an exceptional year, unusual year in many ways. So inflation has touched, retail inflation has touched 7.61%. At some point of time I shall tell you how inflation is calculated. Inflation is calculated at the wholesale level and at the retail level. Nearly 1235 specific commodities, their prices are tabulated on a monthly basis, and based on a consumption weightage, the price increase or decrease is calculated from a particular month of a year to the month in the previous year, same month in the previous year. This is how inflation is calculated. I shall take a class on that, do not worry. Anyway, retail inflation is picking up. When inflation goes up, our purchasing power comes down. When inflation goes up, the price of commodities go up and we will not be able to afford to buy. So higher inflation is not good. Inflation tolerance level of this country has been very low now, but slowly it is going up. We have to wait what is happening. And the inflation, the newspaper says that the inflation has gone up mainly due to higher prices of vegetables. So vegetable prices have gone up these days. That has been the major stimulator of inflation touching higher prices. So thank you very much for watching the program. Now we have got a new goal, and the goal is that we have got the examination, the State Bank of India examination. The applications can be sent from November 14 to December 4. You may please apply as quickly as possible. Do not wait for long, do not wait till the last day. Then let the preparation should start straight away. Let the preparation start straight away. Do not wait for anything. The same work you have to do. Rely completely on the notes and videos that we send. Do as much practice as possible, and read the newspapers well. I hope all of you will work with a rejuvenated vigor, because now there are plenty of vacancies. Thank you very much. Yeah, as you said, thank you. Happy Children's Day. We have to wait for one more day, I believe. No, yeah, happy Diwali. Today is November 14. Okay, so happy Children's Day to you too. You are my young children. Good, and thank you very much. Thank you all. Wish you